Welcome everyone, this is Baz40K, and today I'm going to be going over the two armies that I've built and painted over the past years. And I'm also going to go over some of the books I've collected as well, and this is basically my first introductory video to YouTube. And so I'm going to also discuss some of the things I plan to do on the channel, so sit tight, relax, and enjoy some of the minis I've painted. As you can see, I don't really have them set up in a very good order, so we're just going to be going over each of the units one by one, and I'm going to try and get some good shots of them. Starting it off with the first unit I built and painted was these guys right here, the Deathwing Knights. They're a really awesome unit for the Dark Angels. They're the special Terminators of the Dark Angels, and this is my first time around for these units, so they're not the best, but I still think I did a pretty decent job on a lot of these. And I didn't actually know that when you're first building them, or when you put them in the army, that they're supposed to be either swords or maces, so I went with two of each. But when I'm on the tabletop, I obviously play them either swords or maces. And so these guys were my first units that I built, and they were a lot of fun to build and paint, and I think they turned out alright. Moving on, we have these TAC Marines. These are obviously firstborn Marines. I didn't actually know that the difference between the Primaris and the firstborn Marines when I first bought my minis. So I just thought these guys looked really cool, and I really tried to do these guys justice after I realized they were firstborn Marines. So I tried to do them pretty decent. Some of their paint is kind of thick, but I think they turned out pretty good compared to some of the rest of the first ones I built anyways. But these guys are super cool. I really just kind of mainly went them because I like the way they look, and their tabletop rules they're pretty interesting. You split them up in the groups of 5, so got a 10-man squad here, and they're pretty fun to use. So we've got the infantry dozers, and these guys are absolutely brutal against regular enemy infantry. The Infernus Marines, I got a 10-man squad of them with an apothecary here, and I think I did a really nice job on the apothecary. He's a Dark Angel apothecary. This guy was really fun to build, and I think I did a decent job on the rest of the guys. And as you can see, I've definitely improved kind of each model set. These guys are definitely a lot more clean, a lot more detailed, and I went with some of the Dark Angel decals you can go with for the upgrades, and I think they look really good. Next thing is this dreadnought back here, the Brutalis dreadnought. He is a beast in melee, I'll say that. His shooting isn't that great, but he was definitely not fun to build. I'll say that. He was not fun to build. He is definitely a powerhouse of a dreadnought, but he's not that great to build for sure. He's a fun dreadnought, but not that great to build. I painted him, pretty decently, although a lot of it is at least for my first dreadnought, it is kind of thick, but I do like the decals and the details that I've done on him. At least I think he turned out pretty good for my first dreadnought. And yeah, I didn't actually glue his gun either, so his gun just kind of sits there, turning either way. So yeah, it's just kind of free floating there. But yeah, he's a fun unit. He's yet to do like a whole lot on the tabletop, but he's definitely a lot of fun. Next set of units I built was these Inner Circle Companions and Asmodai. I actually built 2 different sets. This first set, you can kind of tell these guys are just a little bit thicker on the paint on some of these guys because I primed them a little weird, so they turned out kind of weird, but I think I did a decent job on some of these guys for sure. They are a little thick in some areas, but I feel like I did a decent detailing job at least on some of these guys. Yeah, the paint's pretty thick on these guys, but I think they're good looking for what I've done. The Asmodai, I've really tried to do Asmodai good. So he's probably one of my best looking units, and he leads them. And they've been a really fun unit to use on the tabletop, I'll say that, especially with Asmodai, giving them rerolls to hit. And they've been a joy to build and paint, especially the second set that I bought. I definitely did a little bit of a better job with these guys. A lot cleaner. I think they look really great, especially next to Asmodai. I think they all look really great, you know, from a distance. But when you get up close to them, you know, some of them are a little thick on the paint. But you know, for the first time around, it's pretty good. Next unit is this Impulsor, and you can kind of tell I usually put those guys in the Impulsor, and the Impulsor is a lot of fun, although it's not, you know, a great unit. It's mainly just for movement, but it does do some damage to some infantry and whatnot. And I like the color scheme. I went with this one. I was just like a Deathwing color scheme with the tan and green. And yeah, it's been a pretty good vehicle. Hasn't done a whole lot either, but it was a fun build, not too difficult, and I definitely like the paint scheme on this one. Next, we got the Primarch himself, Lionel Johnson. This guy is so cool. I have his special edition book signed by Mike Brooks, as well as the Codex for the Dark Angels, because they are definitely my favorite faction. And this guy was honestly really easy to build, and a really fun time to paint. And I did the best I definitely could on this guy. He's probably my best looking model, and he is a powerhouse on the tabletop, I'll say that. Although I wish he was as good as Gilliman. Everyone knows he's not as good as Gilliman, but yeah, he's super cool. Definitely the coolest in the lore. And I think I did a good job on him for sure. He's definitely super cool looking. Then the next unit is going to be these guys, these Deathwing Terminators, the second set of Deathwing Terminators. And I did a lot better job on these guys. They're definitely a lot cleaner, a lot more detailed. At least the finer details are better looking. And I really enjoy using these guys. Building and painting them are a lot of fun. Terminators are usually easy to build, and you know, a lot of fun to paint. So yeah, these guys are really cool. Second set of Deathwing Terminators, and they you know, they rock houses. That's all I have to say, is they're really good. Last but definitely not least, we've got my Aggressor Squad, and these guys are super fun to play with. They're like kind of like the Infernus Marines. They've just got a whole lot of shots, and their power fists are pretty crazy in melee. I've gone with a more melee focused kind of army with the Dark Angels, so these guys are really good in melee, especially with the captain, and I usually run with the fire discipline, and these guys are they're really good. A lot of people sleep on these aggressor units. I think they're great, and yeah, that's basically why I have them. And they're, you know, I did a pretty good job on them, at least trying to get some good details on them. I did the captain and Gravis armor with their, you know, silver plating on some of the Gravis units. At least from what I've seen on the lore, it looks like that's how they're, you know, that's how they'd look if they were aggressors. And so yeah, mainly a lot of this stuff is painted so it's lore accurate for Dark Angels, and I feel like I did a lot of on these guys, so I did a decent job on these guys. But yeah, that's basically the Dark Angels list, and so now we will move on to the Blood Angels. First up in the Blood Angels, we got Mephiston. He is one of the coolest Space Marines, because he is a Space Marine. And there's a little dust on him, but he is one of the coolest Space Marines ever in lore, and I try to do a good job on him, although, you know, I'm not the greatest at painting faces, but I think his face turned out all right. I definitely like his hair as well, with the kind of like bleached blonde, kind of sandy look to it. And so this was like kind of like this was honestly one of the hardest models to paint, just because there's so many like little details, especially, you know, some of like the little logos and stuff like that, especially his armor, which I think I did a decent job, although it's, you know, not the greatest, but I think he looks really good. And he's really strong on the tabletop. He's been a lot of fun for sure. Next, we've got the Stern Guard vets, and these guys were really fun to paint. They're definitely some of the most detailed Space Marine models you can get, and I think they turned out all right. The white is kind of hard to get on there, but I definitely, you know, hopefully I keep improving with each model I build, and I definitely did some of their finer details a little bit better than some of the other models that I built. So yeah, there's the Stern Guard. Next unit I got for the Blood Angels were these Inceptors here, and these were definitely some of the first models that I wanted to really make look good, and besides just the Stern Guard and Mephiston, because I want to do a good job on the jump pack units for the Blood Angels, because they're notoriously known for their Blood Angel jump packs. So yeah, these guys are really cool. I went with the plasma incinerators with them, and yeah, they're really fun to play with on the tabletop. Next in this long line of guys right here, we got the Hellblaster unit and the Librarian that I painted with them, and I really try to do a good job on the Librarian, because I know the Blood Angels are kind of they're you know, they're more known for their Librarian usage, and I think I did a really good job on these guys, on the Hellblasters. Their plasma's not the best looking, but I do think that you know, some of their details are a lot better than the first time around on some of my other Marines. But these guys are really fun. They're really strong, and they're a great unit to have in any army, really, any Space Marine army, just because of how strong their shooting is. And the Librarian leading them is just a lot of fun. Next guys I got was these Death Company Intercessors. These guys are just the Death Company Marines with the bolt rifles, really. So I mainly just kind of make them either intercessors or, you know, Death Company intercessors, and they, you know, I put them with a captain, and I think that captain, I did a good job on the captain. He looks really good, I think. Basically kind of painting him as a Death Company captain, although I normally run him just as a regular captain with the intercessors, but I wanted to make these guys look like Death Company, so they look like Death Company. Yeah, and these guys were a lot of fun to build. I think they look great. Blood Angels have some of the coolest units in lore, especially the Death Company. They're some of my favorite. So yeah. Next bad boy is this thing, the Redemptor Dreadnought, and he is a joy to have on the tabletop. I painted his macroplasma cannon white there, and I think it looks really good. I've seen some other ones painted, you know, black and gray and whatnot. I think the white looks really cool, and I think I did his plasma really good as well. And yeah, I think he's definitely a little bit better looking than the other Dreadnought that I've got. And obviously the second time around he wasn't near as difficult to build. But he is, you know, still Dreadnoughts are somewhat hard to build, and he's definitely a good unit to have in my army right now. Next I got is this Stormspeeder Thunderstrike. It's got the Thunderstrike loadout on it with the missiles, the las cannon, and the underwing missiles there. And yeah, I just painted this guy just a couple days ago. The Marines are not the greatest looking, but I really like the way this one turned out. I tried a different brush technique, and I think the finish came out really smooth. And I really tried to have this one look really nice and detailed, especially with like the blue lenses and stuff like that. Wanted to make them look like they've got a shine to them and whatnot. So yeah, I think I haven't actually played with this one yet on the tabletop, so hoping to see how that goes. But I think it looks really good. Lastly, but definitely not least, is these guys right here. These are the Death Company Marines with jump packs, and they are just really good looking. I really tried to make them look like they're battle scarred, and I did a new dry brushing technique with their armor to make it look like it's, you know, kind of like a grayish black with the edge highlights and whatnot. And yeah, this is the third time I did a face, and so I really tried to do kind of like a vampire-esque face, you know, the blood angels are vampires. And yeah, I think this one turned out really good. And then I got his sergeant here with the power fist, and this is also my second rendition of some plasma that I did to kind of make the plasma, I don't know, accentuate a little bit more, I guess you could say. Try to do some white highlights on the edge there to make it look like it's really glowing. But yeah, I think I did a really good job with these guys for sure. Probably my best painted units so far. And I did all the X's freehand. And I think they look really cool so far. And I've also got, you know, these guys are unpainted, they're work in progress, but so far the dry brushing on them looks really cool. And I've got Lamarty's to lead them, so that'll be really cool. And hopefully I can get them painted here soon. I'll probably do a live stream to get them painted. Well, everyone, that's going to do it for each individual army. I hope you enjoyed some of the minis I painted. I know they're not amazing, but they're definitely good enough for me, at least. And I enjoy playing with them. I like the way they look on the tabletop for sure. So that'll be it for the armies. And now I will discuss what I might do on the channel. So everyone, that's going to be it for now. I plan to do a live stream on the Death Company Marines when I paint them. And look out for some of the gaming videos that I will probably be doing, like Space Marines 2 and some other niche games that I play with some of my friends. And yeah, that's basically going to be the end of the video. Y'all have a good day. Thank you, and like and subscribe.